I thought I had found the perfect partner, someone who shared my passion for photography and inspired me to grow. But over time, his words turned from encouragement to sharp critiques, and I began to lose sight of the artist and person I used to be. Today, I'll share how my relationship with Lucas nearly extinguished my creativity and confidence, and how I fought to reclaim both. Will I find the courage to rediscover the photographer I once was? If you've ever felt your light dimmed by someone else, like this video and subscribe for more stories of resilience and self-discovery. The shutter clicked, and I felt that familiar rush of excitement course through my veins. Another perfect shot. I lowered my camera, a smile spreading across my face as I reviewed the image on the small screen. The sunset had painted the sky in vibrant oranges and pinks, casting a warm glow over the cityscape. It was moments like these that reminded me why I fell in love with photography in the first place. My name is Mia Thompson, and at 27, I was living my dream as a freelance photographer in the heart of the city. Every day felt like an adventure, a chance to capture the world through my lens and share my unique perspective with others. My apartment, a cozy studio on the 15th floor, doubled as my workspace. The walls were adorned with my favorite shots, a testament to my journey and growth as an artist. I remember standing by the window, my trusty camera in hand, watching the city come alive as the sun dipped below the horizon. One day, I whispered to myself, my work will be in galleries all over the world. It wasn't just a dream. It was a goal I was determined to achieve. My days were filled with a mix of client photo shoots, personal projects, and endless experimentation with new techniques. I loved pushing the boundaries of my craft, playing with light and shadow, angles and compositions. Each photo was a piece of my soul, a snapshot of how I saw the world. My friends often joked that my camera was an extension of my arm. They weren't wrong. Whether I was out for coffee, walking in the park, or even grocery shopping, I always had my camera ready. You never know when inspiration might strike, right? I had built a solid reputation in the local art scene. My Instagram account was growing steadily, and I had even landed a few small exhibitions in local cafes and art spaces. The feedback was always positive, fueling my confidence and pushing me to strive for more. Looking back, I realize how naive I was, how full of hope and ambition. I had no idea how quickly things could change, how easily confidence could be shattered. But in those moments, standing in my apartment, surrounded by my art, I felt invincible. The world was my canvas, and I was ready to paint it with light and color. Little did I know that my life was about to take an unexpected turn, a turn that would challenge everything I thought I knew about myself and my art. But that's the thing about life, isn't it? Just when you think you've got it all figured out, it throws you a curveball. And sometimes, that curveball comes in the form of a charming art critic named Lucas Bennett. I first met Lucas at a small gallery opening where some of my work was being featured. I remember the moment vividly. I was standing next to one of my favorite pieces, a moody black and white shot of the city at dawn, when I felt someone's presence beside me. The juxtaposition of light and shadow here is quite remarkable, a deep voice said. I turned to find myself face to face with Lucas Bennett, a well-known art critic whose reviews I'd read religiously. My heart skipped a beat as I stammered out a thank you. Lucas smiled, his eyes twinkling with interest as he asked me to walk him through my creative process. For the next hour, we were lost in conversation about art, photography, and the power of visual storytelling. Lucas's knowledge of art history and theory was impressive, and I found myself hanging on his every word. He spoke about my work with such enthusiasm, pointing out nuances I hadn't even consciously included. "You have a unique eye, Mia," he said. "Your work speaks volumes." Over the next few weeks, Lucas and I met frequently. Coffee shops became our second home as we pored over photography books and debated the merits of different artistic movements. I showed him my portfolio, and he offered insights that opened up new avenues of creativity for me. One evening, as we walked through a park I often used for photo shoots, Lucas took my hand. The gesture felt natural, like the culmination of the connection we'd been building. "You're not just talented, Mia," he said softly. "You have the potential to be truly great." His words filled me with warmth and excitement. Here was someone who not only appreciated my art, but believed in my future as an artist. I felt seen, understood, and valued in a way I never had before. As our relationship deepened, Lucas began to offer more detailed feedback on my work. At first, I was thrilled. Having an experienced critic as a boyfriend seemed like a dream come true, a chance to grow and improve with expert guidance. One afternoon, I excitedly showed Lucas a series of street photography I'd been working on. His brow furrowed as he flipped through the images. "The composition in this one is a bit amateur, don't you think?" he said, pointing to a shot I was particularly proud of. I felt a small pang of disappointment, but quickly pushed it aside. "Oh? How so?" I asked, eager to learn. Lucas launched into a detailed critique, pointing out issues with framing, lighting, and subject matter. "You're capable of so much more, Mia," he said, his tone a mix of encouragement and disappointment. "These feel a bit safe. You need to push yourself harder if you want to make it in this industry." I nodded, taking mental notes. Part of me felt a bit deflated, but I reminded myself that this was exactly what I needed. Honest, constructive feedback from someone who knew the industry inside out. "You're right," I said, forcing a smile. "I'll work on these points for the next series." Lucas's face softened, and he pulled me into a hug. "That's my girl," he murmured. "With a little polish, you'll be unstoppable." As I melted into his embrace, I felt a mixture of gratitude and determination. Lucas believed in me, and with his guidance, I was sure I could reach new heights in my art. Little did I know that this was just the beginning. The line between constructive criticism and something more insidious was about to blur, and I was too enamored to see the warning signs. But in that moment, all I felt was the excitement of potential growth and the warmth of what I thought was supportive love. As weeks turned into months, I noticed a shift in Lucas's feedback. What once felt like constructive criticism began to take on a sharper edge. His comments became more frequent, more pointed, and increasingly difficult to shake off. One evening, I excitedly showed Lucas a series of photographs I'd taken for a local magazine. It was my first paid gig for a major publication, and I was brimming with pride. Lucas flipped through the images, his frown deepening with each page. "Oh, Mia," he sighed, setting the portfolio down. "These are pedestrian at best. Where's the creativity I know you're capable of? This looks like something any amateur with a decent camera could produce." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I struggled to find my voice, but the magazine loved them. They even talked about future collaborations. Lucas scoffed. "That's because they don't know any better. You're settling for mediocrity, and it's painful to watch. You have so much potential, but you're wasting it on this commercial drivel." I felt my excitement deflate, replaced by a gnawing sense of inadequacy. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was selling myself short. After all, Lucas knew the art world better than I did. He only wanted what was best for me, right? These thoughts became a constant companion. With each new project, I found myself second-guessing every decision. The click of my camera, once a source of joy, now filled me with anxiety. Would this shot meet Lucas's standards? Was I pushing myself hard enough? I tried to rationalize his behavior. "He's just trying to help me improve," I'd tell myself. This is what it takes to make it in the competitive world of art. But even as I repeated these mantras, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered that something wasn't right. Slowly, I began to withdraw from my friends and colleagues. The thought of showing my work to anyone else filled me with dread. What if they saw the same flaws Lucas pointed out? What if they realized I wasn't as talented as they thought? My once vibrant social life dwindled to quiet evenings at home with Lucas, poring over art books and discussing techniques I should be mastering. When friends called to invite me out, I'd make excuses. "I'm working on a new series," I'd say, or "Lucas and I have plans." In reality, I was hiding, afraid that my insecurities would be laid bare for all to see. Even my Instagram account, once a source of pride and connection, became a source of anxiety. Each post was scrutinized, often deleted before it ever saw the light of day. "It's not good enough," Lucas would say, and I'd nod in agreement, ignoring the pang of disappointment in my chest. I began to see myself through Lucas's critical eyes. Every photograph I took, every creative decision I made, was filtered through his perspective. The confident, passionate photographer I once was seemed like a distant memory. In her place stood a woman constantly seeking approval, desperately trying to meet impossible standards. Yet, despite the growing unease in the pit of my stomach, I clung to the belief that this was all for my own good. Lucas was pushing me because he saw my potential, right? He believed in me more than I believed in myself. This was the price of greatness, I told myself. This was what it meant to be with someone who truly understood art. Little did I know, as I retreated further into this world of criticism and self-doubt, that I was losing more than just my confidence. I was losing myself. The weight of Lucas's constant criticism had become unbearable. I found myself staring at my camera, once my most prized possession, now gathering dust on the shelf. The mere thought of picking it up filled me with dread. What was the point? Every shot would be scrutinized, every creative decision questioned. I remember sitting by the window of our apartment, watching the world go by. The city was alive with moments begging to be captured, but my hands felt heavy, my eyes unseeing. I couldn't remember the last time I'd taken a photograph just for the joy of it. "You're in a creative rut," Lucas would say, his voice a mix of disappointment and feigned concern. "Maybe photography isn't your true calling after all." His words echoed in my mind, feeding the growing doubt that had taken root in my heart. Was he right? Had I been fooling myself all along? The passion that once burned so brightly within me now felt like a dim, flickering flame, struggling to stay alive. I'd scroll through my old work, trying to reconnect with the photographer I used to be. But all I could see were the flaws Lucas had pointed out over the months. The unique perspective I once prided myself on now seemed amateurish and trite. Nights became a torment of self-doubt and anxiety. I'd lie awake, my mind racing with all the ways I was failing, all the potential I was wasting. Photography had been my dream, my identity. Without it, who was I? It was on one of these sleepless nights that my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Sarah, an old friend from art school. I hesitated before opening it, Lucas's voice in my head warning me about distractions. "Hey, stranger. Long time no see. There's an upcoming exhibition at the Central Gallery. Theme is urban solitude. Thought of you immediately. Submission deadline is in 2 weeks. You in?" I stared at the message, a mix of longing and fear washing over me. Part of me wanted to jump at the opportunity, but another part, the part that sounded suspiciously like Lucas, whispered that I wasn't good enough. As if sensing my hesitation, another message from Sarah popped up. "I miss seeing your work, Mia. The art world needs your unique voice." Something stirred within me at those words. A faint ember of the passion I thought I'd lost. Before I could talk myself out of it, I replied, "Tell me more." The next day, I met Sarah at our old favorite coffee shop. As soon as I saw her familiar smile, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. We hugged, and for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. "So, this exhibition," Sarah said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's perfect for you, Mia. Your street photography always had this beautiful, melancholic quality to it. Remember that series you did on commuters? That's exactly what they're looking for." I nodded, memories of that project flooding back. It had been one of my favorites, capturing the isolation and connection of city life. I don't know, Sarah, I said hesitantly. I haven't really been shooting much lately. Sarah's brow furrowed. Why not? You were always the one with a camera glued to your hand. I shrugged, not ready to delve into the reasons. Just lost inspiration, I guess. Well, consider this your kick in the butt to find it again, Sarah said, grinning. She reached into her bag and pulled out a flyer for the exhibition. Come on, Mia. The world needs to see through your lens again. As I looked at the flyer, I felt a familiar tingle in my fingers. The urge to create, to capture, to express. It was faint, but it was there. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll think about it. Sarah beamed. That's my girl. And hey, even if you decide not to submit, let's go shooting together sometime soon, yeah? For old time's sake. As I left the coffee shop, I felt lighter than I had in months. The city around me seemed to come into sharper focus, full of potential shots and stories waiting to be told. For the first time in a long time, I felt the stirring of excitement in my chest. I knew Lucas wouldn't approve. I could already hear his criticisms, his dismissal of the exhibition as amateur hour. But as I clutched the flyer in my hand, I realized something important. I missed my art. I missed myself. The road ahead would be challenging, but that tiny spark of passion Sarah had reignited gave me hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could find my way back to the photographer I used to be. The photographer I still was, deep down inside. The day after meeting Sarah, I found myself standing in front of my old photography corner, a thin layer of dust covering my equipment. With trembling hands, I picked up my camera, its familiar weight both comforting and terrifying. I took a deep breath and turned it on. Just then, Lucas walked in. His eyes narrowed as he saw me with the camera. "What are you doing?" he asked, his tone sharp. I'm thinking about submitting some work to an exhibition, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Lucas scoffed. An exhibition? Mia, be realistic. Your work isn't ready for that kind of exposure. You'll only embarrass yourself. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I looked at Lucas, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw not a supportive partner, but a man who had systematically torn down my confidence, my passion, my very sense of self. No, I said, my voice stronger than it had been in months. You're wrong, Lucas. My work is ready. I'm ready. His face contorted with anger. Don't be ridiculous. You haven't even picked up a camera in months. You're deluding yourself if you think you can just jump back in and produce anything worthwhile. As he spoke, memories flooded back. All the times he'd criticized my work, dismissed my achievements, made me question my abilities. I saw with startling clarity how he'd isolated me from my friends, my passion, myself. The only delusion here, I said, my voice shaking but determined, is thinking that your opinion is the only one that matters. I'm done, Lucas. Done with your criticism, done with your control, done with us. Fear and exhilaration coursed through me as I spoke the words. Lucas's face turned red with anger, but for once, I didn't cower. I stood my ground, camera clutched to my chest like a shield. You're making a mistake, he spat. You'll never make it without me. You're nothing without my guidance. His words, once so powerful, now rang hollow. No, Lucas, I'm everything without you, and I'm about to remember that. With shaking hands but a resolute heart, I packed a bag, grabbed my camera gear, and walked out the door. As it closed behind me, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The future was uncertain, scary even, but for the first time in a long time, it was mine. I crashed at Sarah's place that night, tears of relief and fear mixing as I told her everything. She held me, her presence a balm to my battered soul. The next morning, I woke up early, a familiar restlessness in my bones. I picked up my camera and headed out into the dawn-lit streets. As I began to shoot, something magical happened. With each click of the shutter, I felt pieces of myself coming back together. I spent the next 2 weeks immersed in my art, barely sleeping as I worked on my submission for the exhibition. The theme urban solitude took on new meaning as I poured my experiences into my work. Each photograph was a piece of my journey, the isolation, the struggle, and finally, the emergence of hope. On the day of the submission deadline, I stood in front of the central gallery, a portfolio of my best work tucked under my arm. Doubt whispered in my ear, Lucas's criticisms echoing in my mind. But I took a deep breath, remembering the strength it took to walk away, to reclaim my passion. "You've got this, Mia," I whispered to myself, channeling the confidence of the photographer I used to be, the photographer I was becoming again. With a racing heart and trembling hands, I pushed open the gallery doors. As I handed over my portfolio to the curator, I felt a surge of pride and accomplishment. Regardless of the outcome, I had done it. I had faced my fears, rediscovered my voice, and taken the first step towards reclaiming my life and my art. Walking out of the gallery, I felt lighter, freer. The city around me seemed to pulse with potential, every street corner a story waiting to be told through my lens. I raised my camera, focused, and clicked. In that moment, I knew. This was just the beginning of my comeback, both as an artist and as myself. The weeks following my submission to the exhibition were a whirlwind of rediscovery. I moved into a small studio apartment, the walls soon covered with prints of my favorite shots. Each morning, I'd wake up early, grab my camera, and hit the streets, rediscovering the city through my lens. Sarah and other friends from my pre-Lucas days rallied around me. We'd meet for coffee, and they'd listen as I shared my experiences, offering support and understanding. Their belief in me was unwavering, a stark contrast to the constant criticism I'd grown accustomed to. One afternoon, I received a call from a local magazine editor who'd seen my work at the exhibition. "Your photos captured exactly what we're looking for," she said. "Would you be interested in a regular column?" I nearly dropped the phone in excitement. This was the opportunity I'd always dreamed of, and I'd earned it on my own merit. As I hung up, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I was grinning from ear to ear, my eyes sparkling with a joy I hadn't seen in years. Embracing this new chapter, I started a photography workshop for beginners. Teaching others reignited my passion in ways I hadn't expected. Seeing the world through my students' eyes reminded me of the wonder and excitement that drew me to photography in the first place. With each passing day, I felt my confidence growing stronger. I started experimenting with new techniques, pushing the boundaries of my art in ways I'd been too afraid to before. Some experiments failed spectacularly, but instead of feeling discouraged, I found myself laughing, learning, and trying again. The real turning point came when I decided to do a series on survivors of emotional abuse. As I listened to their stories and captured their resilience on camera, I felt a deep connection. These sessions were healing, not just for my subjects, but for me as well. On the opening night of my first solo exhibition, I stood in the gallery surrounded by my work and the people who had supported me through my journey. As I gave a short speech, I looked out at the crowd and felt overwhelmed with gratitude and pride. "A year ago, I couldn't have imagined standing here," I said, my voice steady and strong. I had lost myself, my passion, my voice. But today, I stand before you not just as a photographer, but as a survivor, a friend, and a woman who has reclaimed her power. I paused, looking at the photos around me, each one a testament to my journey and growth. To anyone out there who feels trapped, who's been made to doubt themselves, I want you to know this. Your voice matters. Your vision matters. You are stronger than you know, and it's never too late to reclaim your story. As applause filled the room, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road hadn't been easy, and I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I was no longer afraid. I had rediscovered my passion, my strength, and most importantly, myself. Later that night, as I walked home under the city lights, I raised my camera to my eye. Click. Another moment captured, another story told. But this time, it was on my terms, through my eyes, with my voice. And that made all the difference. To anyone reading this, remember, your art, your passion, your voice, they're all part of what makes you uniquely you. Don't let anyone dim your light. The world needs your perspective, your creativity, your truth. It might be scary to stand up for yourself, to walk away from something toxic, but I promise you, on the other side of that, fear is freedom. And in that freedom, you'll find yourself again, stronger and more beautiful than ever. So pick up that camera, that paintbrush, that pen, whatever your tool of expression might be. Create, share, and most importantly, believe in yourself. Your story isn't over. In fact, the most beautiful chapters might be just beginning. As I stood in front of the audience at my photography workshop, I felt a connection that went beyond just teaching technique. I looked at the faces before me, each with their own stories, their own struggles, and their own dreams. It was time to bridge the gap between artist and viewer, to create a space for shared experiences and healing. Before we wrap up today, I said, lowering my camera, I'd like to take a moment for some reflection. Photography isn't just about capturing images, it's about telling stories, expressing emotions, and sometimes it's about reclaiming our own narratives. I took a deep breath, feeling vulnerable, yet empowered. I'd like to ask you all something personal. Have you ever felt your confidence eroded by constant criticism? Has anyone ever made you question your talents or your worth? The room fell silent, but I could see recognition in many eyes. Some nodded slowly, others looked down, lost in thought. I've been there, I continued softly. I know how it feels to have your passion dimmed by someone else's words, but I also know the incredible strength that comes from reclaiming your voice. I gestured to the photos displayed around the room, images of resilience, of quiet strength, of beauty found in unexpected places. These aren't just photographs, they're pieces of my journey back to myself. And I believe each of you has a similar strength within you, waiting to be expressed through your art. I paused, looking around the room. I'd like to invite you to share your stories, not just here, but with each other, with your loved ones, or even through your photography. What experiences have shaped your artistic journey? How have you overcome self-doubt or external criticism? The energy in the room shifted, a mix of nervousness and anticipation filling the air. You don't have to share right now if you're not comfortable, I reassured them. But I want you to know that your experiences matter. Your voice matters. And sometimes, sharing our stories can be the first step towards healing and growth. I picked up a stack of cards from my desk. I've prepared these cards with resources, support groups, counseling services, and online communities for artists. Please, if you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out. You're not alone in this journey. As I handed out the cards, I continued. I'd also like to create a safe space for us to connect beyond this workshop. If you're comfortable, I'd love for you to join our online community. It's a place where we can share our work, our struggles, and our triumphs. A place where we can lift each other up and celebrate our unique voices. I could see a spark of interest, even excitement, in many eyes. Remember, every great photographer, every great artist has faced moments of doubt. But it's in pushing through those moments that we find our true strength. So I challenge you. Take a photo this week that represents a fear you've overcome or a strength you've discovered in yourself. Share it in our community if you feel comfortable. Let's create a tapestry of resilience and hope together. As the workshop came to a close, I felt a sense of warmth and connection in the room. People lingered, some approaching me to share snippets of their stories, others exchanging contact information with fellow participants. I realized that this sense of community, of shared experiences and mutual support, was as much a part of my healing journey as my photography itself. By opening up about my own struggles, I had created a space for others to do the same. As the last participant left, I looked around the empty room, filled with the echoes of shared stories and newfound connections. I picked up my camera, framing a shot of the space, the chairs arranged in a circle, the late afternoon light streaming through the windows. Click. Another moment captured, another story begun. In that instant, I knew that my journey wasn't just about reclaiming my own voice. It was about creating a chorus of voices, each unique, each valuable, all coming together to create something beautiful and powerful. And in that harmony, we would all find strength, healing, and the courage to keep creating, no matter what challenges we faced. As I lower my camera, I turn to face you directly, my audience, my community. Your support has been an integral part of this journey, and I'm grateful for each one of you who's taken the time to listen to my story. If you've found strength, inspiration, or a sense of connection through this narrative, I'd be honored if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might need to hear them. Before you go, take a look at the recommended video appearing on your screen. It's another powerful story of resilience and self-discovery that I believe will resonate with many of you. Every like, every subscription, every shared story brings us one step closer to breaking the silence around psychological abuse and celebrating our collective strength. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Now, let's continue to support each other and share our stories. The next chapter awaits. Are you ready to turn the page with me?